Another thing I like to talk about, um, I want to title this next video or like a part two of my other video, and I want to title it Snutophobia. And that I was like, I guess yesterday years old when I learned that term. It's like you just learn something new every day. It makes you mad that you didn't know it before. But oh my gosh, I just have so many very specific phobias. Um, really, I just have OCD, and I become obsessed with things, and therefore I develop irrational phobias about just so many things, that other people couldn't care less about. And I think the reality is I just don't have enough to do. I'm just so bored that my idle mind just gets preoccupied with stupid stuff. And oh God, I just keep thinking about that god awful second decade of life, ages 10 through 19, and how a lot of these phobias originated at that time. It's like I don't know what I was doing or thinking during my first decade of life, but it was pretty much the only decade when I was free of a lot of these things, that I'm plagued with today, if I ever was. And snutophobia, it means like a fear of blowing your nose. And in my case, I'm not afraid of blowing my nose. I just don't do it in public, like specifically the classroom. Um, as I stated before, it just all dates back to May of 97, that that infamous cold in the first week of May in 97. It's like if I ever wanted to forget, it's sure not happening because of all the things that just trace back to that memory, of me having a cold in May of 97. May 1 was day 1. And this fear of blowing my nose, like I stated before. If I'm at home, it doesn't matter. And if I'm in the bathroom, even, it's just like farting. I guess it's just like flatulphobia, but I don't feel farting so much. I just don't fart in my clothes. Because as I've stated before, potty training includes all 3 states of matter. And if you just fart in your pants with wild abandon, you are not potty trained. I'm sorry, but you just aren't. But this fear of blowing my nose, dates back to May 97. And I definitely saw the contrast between through January of 97, I couldn't have cared less. In fact, I actually got called down for blowing my nose too hard in a classroom. And that could be why I developed this phobia. But, every year, from kindergarten through my senior year, it's like we were required to buy boxes of tissues for the teachers, buy the teachers Kleenex for the year in August. And they quickly came in handy, as everybody got sick at the beginning of the school year for the first time. And so, here I was, still continuing to buy Kleenex even through high school. You'd have like one teacher that would require a box of Kleenex. They couldn't all require one from each student. And so, and through half of my 7th grade year, I definitely got my money's worth out of the Kleenex. I would use the teacher's Kleenex and blow my nose in class. Well, beginning May of 97, that's when it changed. That's when I developed this snutophobia. It's kind of like snot with a U instead of an O. And I developed this phobia about blowing my nose in class. And it was all because I had decided that I was this superhero from a planet where they don't get sick. And I told everybody that every single year. It's like my trademark and all that. And so, I couldn't hardly blow my nose in class. after announcing that my claim to fame was that I didn't get colds. And so I would just kind of, just live with a stuffy nose. And I guess I probably annoyed them in a different way by sniffling all day in class, all the way through college. Though, as I've stated before, the colds became fewer and further between as I got into college. And, that's how I know that they're not caused by, they're not caused by poor diet. They're not caused by malnutrition. They're not caused by, like a lack of exercise. They're not caused by really even stress or sleep deprivation, though those can make it worse. They're not caused by chilling. They're caused by freaking viruses. I was the same person like in 7th grade when I only had 4, as I was in the 8th grade when I had 9 from my sister going to kindergarten. And, I was the same person like at age 21 and 22 and 24 when I caught about 1 or maybe 1.5 at age 21, like I guess a bad one in October and a mild one in May. And I was the same person as I was at age 23 when I got 3 of them, because my sister's freshman year was a rough year on all of us. So, the number is actually irrelevant, as stated before. It's frequent colds are caused by being exposed to a lot of new viruses, and that's why the number will often go up as you begin a new school. You know what I'm saying? Like the jump from, not going to school to kindergarten was the biggest. And then, going to the 6th grade for both of us was pretty bad. And then going to the 9th grade was bad for my sister, but not for me, because she had gone to kindergarten in my 8th grade year. So 8th grade was also bad. And then, of course, going to college was a slight increase, but not by much. Then it just gradually dropped as my sister got further into her adolescence and I got well into college. But, it was just like I would have these milestones. And when I graph the longest stretch without a cold, it's even more interesting than graphing the colds. It's amazing how it's like, it was like a milestone at each developmental phase. Like when I got to be 18, I started being able to go 6 months without a cold. Then I got to age like, I want to say like, was it 20? And I was able to go like 8 months. And then age 22, oh my gosh, I went about 10 months or so, at least 10 months. And then age 24, it was like computer binary code from then on out. It's like 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, ones and zeros for the rest of my life, basically. Never multiple colds again after age 23. And, the biggest, like the longest I went without a cold was like in my early 30s. Early to mid 30s, something like that. Like I could go at least 2 years without one at that point. So, I think that's very interesting because I feel like I'm graphing my health and it's just an amazing thing. But yeah, like I just developed this phobia about blowing my nose, particularly in a classroom, in May of 97, and I could see the contrast from January 97. That last one I had before I, decided that I'm not supposed to catch them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like, I just, developed snutophobia. I already have heliophobia, which is a fear of sunlight. I developed that at age 12 because I didn't want it to change my racial identity of white. And, just a lot of other phobias that I developed around 11 to 14 or so, like puberty age or junior high. So yeah, just want to talk about that and how, like, I'm not as bad about it. Like, if I'm eating and my nose starts to run in public, I don't mind as much blowing it. But, just something about being in a classroom, you know, beginning in 7th grade, I just became, you know, embarrassed to blow my nose around my classmates, you know, because I'm supposed to be this superhero of sort that doesn't get sick. And, but, you know, it's become a self-fulfilling prophecy because it's what I've become more as an adult. It's ironic, you know, when I was a teenager who wanted people to think so highly of me and all that. That's when I was getting sick still, because I was still a kid of sorts. And now that I'm an adult and no one cares, you know, I don't have classmates to talk to about that anymore. It's like now, you know, I'm going 18 months or 2 years or more without a cold at times. And it's just like, you know, it's like now that it doesn't matter anymore, now is when I'm healthy. So, yeah, which I could have seen forward to this day, although there are still ups and downs. So I'll go ahead and post this video.